Hey everybody, St. Paul Peterson here. Welcome to episode 17 of Music on the Run. I'm on a run by a busy highway over there, but a beautiful Edina Creek back here. Our next guest is guitarist Kat Dyson. She toured with Prince, Cindi Lauper, Donny Osmond, Sheila E, and so many more. She's coming right up on Music on the Run. Hey everybody, St. Paul here, and welcome to episode 17 of Music on the Run, our fifth Zoom interview from the famous Peterson basement. My next guest has actually hung out in this basement with me and my family. She lives in LA via Montreal and Minneapolis. She was a member of Prince's New Power Generation. She's toured with Cindi Lauper, Donny Osmond, Sheila E, to name a few, and is currently in Italian superstar Zucchero's band. She was also named in Guitar Player magazine as one of the 50 sensational female guitarists. Please welcome my California sister, Kat Dyson. I almost called it Kathleen. That's why it sounded like a lisp.
That's your in trouble name. That's what
see.
my father would call me. Kathleen.
Kathleen. No, that's why it sounded like I didn't know who I was introducing there. But I rewound, and we're all good now. How are you, my dear? Thank you for joining us.
Oh, I am wishing I was in that Peterson basement right now, man.
Come on. You remember this? I mean, this is
being there with the family and mama and everybody, and being too shy to play because you guys are it's like between your family and the Wooten family. I have hung out in some basements and garages where there was just more music than my heart could even handle, and I just kind of had to stand there like a fly on the wall and say, "I'm here."
But I think you were here for multiple holidays, I believe.
A couple of times. Yeah.
And we had, I think you invited Renato over and Rhonda Smith. We were all hanging here in the basement, eating food, playing music, and having fun. Where are you now? During this whole COVID
right
thing?
now I'm in LA. I'm here in the Valley. Doing what I've been doing actually for more than like 5 or 6 years, which is doing tracks digitally and recording and doing Skype lessons and all that. I kind of started doing this a few years before all this happened, so it wasn't a huge transition for me because I'm kind of set up for it because, I have clients in Canada, clients in Europe, different time zones. So I kind of jumped on that wave of technology early on. So it's not like, oh, this is the new norm. It's a crazy thing. Now, I have a lot of friends, a lot of places. So when we want to play, we just, the days of Skype. I've been doing it since Skype was started. So
right, wow.
I'm one of the Skype dinosaurs.
You're way ahead of the curve. So this is all hat to you.
Oh,
so
no,
not much has changed.
I feel like a dinosaur because they're always coming up with new rooms and new ways and new things. So,
hey, you were a part of the Electro Voice takeover, by the way. Thank you for coming on for that little short period of time. But I had to have you back because we got so much more to talk about.
Yeah. Well, even though I was there for Electro Voice, I do have to give my kudos to Audio Technica and also Austrian Audio for
you came for me. You came for me.
Constantly being, there for me over the years and giving me all the great audio gear to make me not such an idiot in the studio.
Well, you know what? Honestly, we appreciate all of our sponsors who've taken care of you and taken care of me. Such a neat, wonderful part of the business. And well, I thank God for them. I'll tell you that. Absolutely. You and I, let's go back a little bit.
Oh,
okay. You and I you played with Prince in a different decade than when I was in the camp.
Yeah.
So
I got there in 1996, right when he started putting, a symbol instead of his name, and
Right.
that whole transition when he left Warner's and he cleaned house and there was nobody there, and there was no real management to speak of. I mean, he still had attorneys and everything, but he started his label, and that's during the Emancipation days. I was there for that 3-album set, so he was generous enough to let me play on it, which he didn't have to. It was pretty much finished. By the time I got there, it was pretty much finished, and he just kept adding songs and adding songs. I said, "Hey, if you had to play this, what would you do?" And he ended up letting me go in the studio for a couple of things.
Oh, that's great. He realized that Ricky and I were the people that he kicked out of the building. So when you came in 96, we were just on our way out.
I think there was just a big changing of the guards. And
totally.
Rhonda and I had met Sheila at NAMM and then the Mesa in Germany, which is like their NAMM show.
Oh, right. Yep.
And we were initially going to be part of an all-female project supergroup that she was trying to put together for Sony, which had nothing to do with him at all.
Oh,
and then that whole thing happened, and she says, "Oh, by the way, that promo pack you sent me of all your stuff and you're all playing, I sent it to Prince because he just changed and now he decides he wants to work with women." So Sheila kind of blindsided us with that. We didn't know anything about it, because it was fresh. It had just happened. And, and she's responsible, for him finding out about us.
Well, we'll come back to the whole Prince Cap story, but I just use that as a setup to say that I was there 10 years before you.
Absolutely.
You came in 96. You were hanging in Minneapolis. We didn't know each other until the Donnie and Marie show.
Yes, which happened a couple of years after that. Yeah.
98. That's right. 98 and 99. You and I showed up at Sony Pictures. It's like, what? And you and I became super fast friends.
Absolutely.
It was so fun. What a great period of time. We got to play with so many great musicians there too. I mean, guest stars and the band.
Yes. I think the day your mom came and sat in the audience.
Right.
And, just looking like a mom and then came and sat down and just killed everything. That was one of the most memorable moments for me. It was unbelievable, man. Your mom.
For those of you who don't know, my mom, who passed away 6 or 7 years ago this month, she was one of the best jazz keyboard players in the world. And it was
absolutely.
We played this trick on people where we'd have her come up, pretend to be this grandma. And she was in her 80s back then. Yeah. She'd wobble up to the piano, and then people were thinking, "Oh, isn't that cute? The old lady's going to play a nice church song." And then mom would get up there and just be killing. And of course, all our musicians friends were in on the joke, but the audience just lost their minds.
Exactly.
When they heard mama play. I was so glad that you got to hang out with her, Kat.
Oh my gosh.
She loved you.
And, going to see her at the Beverly Hills Hotel where she would just wreck shop, just sit in at the bar there and just play. Her and Hal, right?
Yeah, Hal Atkinson. That's right. That's right.
But, on Donnie Marie, you and I did some crazy thing. Remember the Robert Palmer show when we both put on the leather jackets and we did the steps?
Oh, yeah. Lights are on. You looked way better than I did doing that stuff.
And
Marie, I think, got up there too.
He kept turning around looking at us like, what are they doing? But then he came up, and rather than saying, "You sounded good," "What kind of amp is that?" I'm like,
He was cool, though. And I don't think he died much after that. I think he passed away like a couple of years after that.
Yeah, he did.
Appearance.
And
Kenny Rogers.
And the day Stevie came.
Oh. A dream come true for me. Had you ever played with Stevie before that?
No, I had
Donnie
not.
Too.
No, yes, I had. We were in Detroit with Prince.
Okay.
And we went to this after party, and there was a band playing. So if there's a band playing wherever we are, Prince is going to get up and pretty much, kick them off stage and just do a jam. And Tony Rich was there. Stevie was there. I think Larry Graham was there too. And I think when we sat in with them, I think Prince got on drums.
He was a great drummer.
And we just kind of took over that band's house gig.
Did you really?
And Stevie was there.
Of course you did.
Yes, I mean, I think we jammed till like 4:00 in the morning. It was insane.
Ooh, you've been on the road.
Prior to that, I'd done that with him. Yeah.
Stevie that was an incredible highlight for me and Donnie. I mean, the whole band, having Greg Fillinganes there, playing a little bit.
Absolutely.
That was cool. So that was an incredible time for you and I. We were hanging every single day, and I just call you my California sister. I don't even have to put California in front of it. I've always called you a sis. We've adopted you into the Peterson family, the minute we met you. So, yeah, we love you, Miss Kat Dyson, and it's fun to have you on this. Let's talk a little bit about, since this is Music on the Run, you've been on the road most of your adult life, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You always look great. How the hell do you do that?
Moderation. Moderation in everything. Moderation in stress. Moderation in doing too much of good or bad things. Just moderation and balance. Before I get stressed about something, I'll just pick up my guitar. My guitar is my therapist. It is my outlet. It is my stress reducer. It is, even though it also is my work. It also is my focus. It also is my bank. My instrument is many things. Discipline. My dad was Army, and my mom passed when I was 11. So I became, his lieutenant and sister mom and everything else, because I'm the eldest of 7. So he kind of put that discipline thing in me without me really knowing that he was kind of, well, you're responsible. So,
wow.
So sometimes, just having that in my spirit and hearing his voice saying, do everything you can, but do it in moderation, but take care of your body first, because it's the only one you have. So, with that in mind, I have my fun, but I have my chill, but, just moderation and balance and discipline. I guess that's it for me.
To you, well, that's a word to the wise. I'll tell you that. I don't even know how to say the word moderation.
Yes, you do.
I don't.
That's not
See,
true.
now, Kat knew me back in my drinking days. You and I had a couple cocktails together, but, I didn't have that moderation word. And I don't have it now because I'm either going to run no miles or I'm going to run a marathon. I'm either going to have no ice cream or I'm going to have a gallon. I wish that I understood the concept of moderation. I'm still young enough to figure it out.
Well, if you listen to your body, it will tell you. It will give you the big warning. Don't do that.
Warning, Will Robinson, warning.
Yeah, it will. I mean, it depends on how, and I know this sounds crazy, but how body conscious you are, because, the body is an amazing creation, and it will speak to you if you're listening now. If you're intent on crashing it into the wall.
Right. Do you have do you have a routine when you're on the road? I mean, you've spent so much time recently in Europe, or am I correct? With Zucchero?
Yeah, I've been working with him off and on for 12 years now. Yeah. Sleep. First of all, sleep, water. Those are the maximum things. And I have green days where I'll just, and I'm not really a dedicated vegetarian, but I'll have green days where, I make sure that even my protein comes from something alive and green. Gotta have green days. I mean, as time goes on, you're able to bring the little bullet machines and the machines and stuff that you can bring and make your own shakes. And if you're, moving around and you're on a bus, At least you could plug in and do some juicing if they don't have it at the venue. But there's a list of foods because I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2008, and besides living clean and everything else, I then had to really boost my immune system, and that was one of the ways that I'm, knock on wood, still here. But I do I do try to keep a list of foods that is my go-to list of, you need to eat these today or every day, because you need to eat things that are going to bring oxygen to your system, that are going to bring nutrients to your system, that are going to bring, okay. So, you're going to have a cocktail or a wine or whatever it is you choose to do, but you got to feed your body the good stuff to be able to handle the not so good stuff, or the not so good conditions, or the constant running and traveling, or maybe the sleep deprivation. So I'm sleep deprived, I drink more water. If I know I'm not going to rest, I try to at least have some quiet time before the show and quiet time after the show. If not, I save a salad until after, rather than doing something destructive after, like big pizzas and blah blah blah. I will save a plate of broccoli and have that broccoli, or have that salad. The French eat their raw stuff at the end of the meal, which kind of works for me. So I'll have my salad after my protein, like away from it. Is a food combining kind of thing. I mean, there's a science to it, and a lot of people adhere to it. But when I travel, I try to eat fresh for wherever I am. I don't try to go, I'm an American and I need to eat McDonald's wherever I go, because that's the only food I know. It's McDonald's. No,
I did that in my 20s. I was like, where am I? Where am I?
I don't really eat McDonald's here.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I don't really eat a lot of fast food here, so
Sure.
only when I'm just forced and I'm on the road and I have to. But I cook so much, so
you are
home,
a good cook, a great cook.
Thank you. Well, being home, has reintroduced me to my kitchen in ways that are not so good, because then I get in there and I get experiment and I like it. But of course, because I'm from a big family, I don't know how to cook small. So then I end up with lots. So my freezer is full of all these beautiful discoveries and experiments. I'm like, okay, that's good, but that's too much. So let me freeze some of it. So I got good stuff for later.
Right. So I hear you saying, if you're going to play, you got to pay by being good to your body.
Well,
so balance is really an important thing. You're on 11 when you're on stage, but you take time to meditate and chill out.
Absolutely. What meditation is, is key. Even if I'm on the bus, I am doing it on the bus. People think, oh, she's sleeping. Oh, she's about. I'm, centering myself. Even if I'm on the bus in a bunk, I'm centering myself. Even when people are up and around, I'm making quiet space for myself. Even if I have to put these headphones on, put my music on, and nobody knows, if they think I'm sleeping, fine.
Right.
I'm my bunk is always full of books or iPads where I'm reading. I'm always doing that kind of thing. So I'm pretty boring on the road.
No, you're not. No, you're not. You lie.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm boring. I'm social, but I'm an introvert as well. So and I grew up with a love of books. My mother used to make us read to each other as kids, because she's like, 7 kids, 7 bedtime stories? Nah, I'm not doing that.
Right.
So she trick us, and as soon as you learn how to read, then you read to your brother or sister. You know what I mean? But she had us reading Edgar Allan Poe and Shakespeare and all the poetic greats, and literature that's literature. She not the boy in the caboose. She had us reading things. I mean, when Halloween came, she found a recording of Vincent Price's The Raven from Edgar Allan Poe. So she would play that recording, and nobody would come up to our house because
too scary.
We had the jack-o'-lanterns and shit. With the thing, the house looked all, and then you hear, said the Raven, nevermore.
he anything he could recite "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" and scare the hell out of you.
And she would play that, and the kids would be scared. We were like, "Well, we know there's candy going to be at our house because nobody's going."
Yeah, more candy for me.
Exactly.
Kat, do you still work out on the road, or is that something that you don't necessarily do as much of anymore?
Absolutely, I have to, because those 20, 30 pound guitars don't get lighter over time.
Well, okay, so give us an example. Right? Yeah, I've got a little COVID sitting here. You realize that the camera cuts me off right here for a reason. I hope you.
Well, I saw some video footage of myself, and I'm like, ooh, I was kind of breathing there, and that doesn't look so good. But yeah, I have to keep my upper body in shape. I'm not ever in the best shape that I want to be in, but I definitely have to do something, for posture, for, stamina, for, upper body workouts. I mean, I've even, I have resistance bands, and I usually, take some free weights at least with me, and I've kind of worked out, and in a lot of European hotels, a gym is like, a bike,
yeah,
and a treadmill.
Sure. Right.
They're like, hotel, gym? Why? We're in a hotel to relax. That's what, especially in the Italian hotels. They're like,
right.
Huh? But I've learned to take furniture and just, learn how to do asymmetric stuff to just make your body weight, make you work out. But it's very, very slow. It's not fast, because then you don't get any results. So yeah, I definitely try. Got
it. What do you think is the toughest thing about being on the road?
I mean, it's getting in rhythm to being there. If you don't want to be there, that's another thing. But if you know you're going to be there and you know what it is, you just got to get into the rhythm of being there and the rhythm of what it takes. And it's so different from your at-home rhythm. If you're not able to switch and adapt, it makes people really cranky. But, I'm looking at this and I'm like, and when I get home, I'll have money to buy me time to then do this and get into that rhythm. You know what I mean? So it's a rhythm. It's rhythm balance. Here we go again. So when I get home, then I get a chance to write, to read, to go to a museum. And I do that when I'm on the road. Sometimes I get up early, and if I'm in a city I don't know, I'll go to a museum, or I'll go to a park, or I'll, go and have a coffee where they have a coffee, or I'll ask the hotel guy, where do you have breakfast on your way here? Where do you go for, if I want to see the place, I want to see it. I want to feel like I've been there, rather than just, if I have the time,
Sure.
and I try to visit as much green space. So I try to incorporate a little bit of what I do in this rhythm while I'm there. And, it also helps if you're, and I've been lucky to be out on the road with people I love and respect, and we all get along. And, some people you get closer to than others. And, everybody's got their own drama while they're on the road, their own families, their own this, their own that. And you just, you're gentle and open and honest and loving with each other. And, with the Italians, we had a horn section at one point. He'd take a George Foreman grill and make the most amazing bruschetta, with the,
really?
the bread with the toppings. He would take that grill and, we'd hit the stage, we'd get off the stage, take our showers, get on the bus, and he'd just be there chopping up stuff, and, one day we'd have, a portobello mushrooms bruschetta, or this or shrimp with the bruschetta, or, we came up with this, we found that, and we're going to add that to the bruschetta. He would just create, and, those guys cook and they eat, but it's all fresh stuff, and over that, some of the Americans dug it, some of them didn't. Me, if we stopped in a region or a town where, okay, this place is known for their salami, they'd get that salami. Or this place is known for their cheese. Or this place is known for their olive oil. They'd buy 5 different olive oils, and they're like, okay, taste that. Now, taste this one. now which one is better? They would have more discussions about food.
Is that
Than
right?
they would about politics. They never talked about politics. It's like, what do you mean? We make the best this. No, we make the best that.
Take me, please. I don't want to talk about politics ever, ever, please. No. So yeah, I have a question for you because maybe my listeners don't know. I come from a musical family, but of strong men and women. My mother, whom you mentioned earlier, Jeannie Arlen Peterson, single mom, raising her 3 boys and 2 girls after my father passed when he was 48, a musician, having to take care of, I was 4, my brother was 10, Patty's 14, Linda and Billy are out of the house, but being a woman in the music business, how has that journey been for you?
Well, I mean, you and I have a similar type of story. My dad was 40 when he was widowed with 7 kids. I was 11, and my baby sister was 3.
Whoa.
She's a nurse practitioner now. She's Dr. Maria Holmes. She's the superstar. I'm just trying to hang with her.
I love her.
So because I was kind of put in a leadership position before I even knew what that meant, I was forced to mature maybe quicker than most. And I was 5'10" by the time I was 12. So I was playing in clubs at 13 and lying and telling them I was 18. As long as I didn't drink or do anything illegal, I didn't, I wasn't into drugs or anything like that. So I was able to kind of just do it. I just wanted to play. My mom bought my first guitar, and within a year, she was gone. Wow. So having it in my hand helped me not miss her so much, helped me grieve when I did miss her. And she said, you can do this. You can do whatever you want. I was playing piano. I was singing in every choir. I was doing all of that stuff while she was alive. So guitar was the fun thing to do because I had to take piano lessons, which for me weren't all that much fun.
Right.
That's why I'm not a great piano player. So I just wanted to play. And I just wanted, and I had 4 brothers, so I was used to the male dynamic. So as long as they saw the guitar before they saw me, I just didn't really, I don't know how to put this, but I didn't really put a lot on my sexuality because I was tall, female, but I grew up a tomboy playing all the sports with my brothers because I was pretty much their babysitter. So I played basketball, baseball, it's like, okay, she's one of the Dyson kids, So I was tall and lanky, not really buxton or anything to look at. And I just wanted to keep playing, and I really didn't focus so much on, hi, I'm the girl. I was just like, hey, fellas. I was like, hey, fellas, I can play this part. And, I had a lot of, blowback. A lot of folks would just come up and put their head next to the amp to make sure I was playing because in a lot of bands in Virginia, we didn't even have the money to buy keyboards or anything. So most bands had 2 guitar players. And, I learned a lot of the keyboard parts to a lot of stuff on rhythm guitar for our, lead player to float. And then we had some horns and, we all that average white band, Tower Power, James Brown with the 2 guitar players, Beatles with the, multiple guitar players, all that 2 guitar player stuff. I kind of learned how to do, and people just kind of got used to, oh yeah, that's that Dyson girl. And, like I said, I didn't, when I had the bikini body, I wasn't really into showing the bikini body because I wanted them to see that I could play.
Sure.
And, I didn't, and I'm not downplaying or by any means criticizing how, women dress or present their art. I think you should do that according to your personality. But because I was put in that position, my fashion was secondary. And I'm sure you can go back and find some pictures that show that.
Oh, I'll definitely be going back to find those.
I really, at that point, I was wearing what the band would wear, or they would come up with costumes or whatever somebody told me to wear. I was like, okay. I it was so secondary to me. I got to keep playing music.
Did you get she's a girl.
Oh, lots.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, I'm saying I grew up in a house with 4 brothers telling me all the time, "Hey, she's a girl," and but I was taller than them,
right?
And playing the sports and beating them until they. So I was used to that, and I was like, "Yeah, but I'm a girl, but I'm still hanging with you,
right?
But I will still make this shot."
So they respected you, and you found a way in through your playing, just who you were.
Yeah, I mean, so it would happen, but it would always be a but. And a lot of people would let it stop them, but having 4 brothers underfoot, because my 2 sisters were after my 4 brothers. So it was me, the 4 brothers, and then my 2 sisters who were like living baby dolls for me to play with, pretty much in age.
You're the oldest, Kat?
Yes.
Got it.
So when guys would come up and say that stuff, it would be like, yeah, and...
I wouldn't mess with you. I got news.
Well, no, but I'm saying, my dad and my brothers kind of made me go, yeah, and.
Okay.
And my dad would always say, "Don't get mad, baby, get even." Whatever they say, take it all in. Don't get mad about it. Figure out a way to beat them. And, we play chess. And I'm like, "Daddy, let's play checkers." He's like, no, the checkers for lazy people who are going too fast. I want you to learn how to play chess. Go the long game. So, whoever would say something like that or blah, 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 time would always come around where they would have to see me again. It's like, she's still doing that thing. Yeah. So
you just kept coming like a freight train.
Well, my mom was encouraging me from above and just saying, "Hey, you can do this." And when it started to open doors and pay my rent and give me a roof over my head and make it so that I didn't have to ask anybody for anything,
Was there ever a point where your father said...
She set me up for that. She set me up. My father never wanted me to do it. And when she passed, he locked my guitars in his room.
That's what I was just about to ask you. Was there ever a time...
My baby sister was like a little bit of a gymnast when she was young. She used to jump off things and just scare us to death. So she would climb up the back way. There was a big oil tank in the back, and she'd climb up, go through his window, open the door. And I'd take my guitar and go and play the gigs, and he would come, and I'd get in trouble. And we fought for many years.
Interesting, huh?
Until I got in a band where the manager would keep my guitar at his house because he knew my dad.
Find a way to beat him.
Yeah, my dad never. What father wants his teenage daughter out doing gigs and playing in clubs when he's like working 12, 16 hours? Nah.
Right.
No. But he knew that I wouldn't stop. So,
Was there a point where he came around and said, I'm really proud of you?
Yeah, it took a while. It took a while because he was a jazz guy. So anything I played that was not jazz, first of all, he didn't think it was music. So that was a whole nother situation.
Well, that's a generational thing, though, for sure.
Yeah, I remember being young, and he's like, "This is a guitar player," and he played Wes Montgomery, and I was like 10. I was like, "Dad, that's cheating. That's 2 guys."
Right.
So whenever I want to really just bring myself back to square one, I put Wes Montgomery on, and it grounds me, and all the guitars that he loved, because of course I was going way the other way. Anybody he didn't like or anything that didn't sound like jazz, the louder, the crazier. Deep Purple, Hendrix, Stones, anything. He'd have to come home and turn that noise off.
I've said in other interviews, Mom used to call that rang-a-jang music, whatever that means. Rang-a-jang, smeary guitar music.
Exactly.
And then her 3 sons got in the Steve Miller Band, so whatever.
There you go.
So how do you transition out of your house being the eldest or the matriarch, really, at that point? So how do you transition out of the house and into gigs? Because I'm sure if you're the oldest, you must be almost a matriarch, taking care of your little brothers and sisters. How did that all transpire where you're moving out? And then how do you get to Montreal from, what was it, Virginia? Is that where you grew up?
Yeah. Well, I got into college, which is where I met the Wootens. And, I had my own ideas about things, and my dad and I finally had the final conflict. And he pretty much, I don't care if you're on honor roll. I don't care if you're doing this. You're setting a bad example for your brothers and sisters to get out. And he kicked me out.
Whoa.
Came home. Stuff was on the lawn. Locks were changed. Brothers and sisters in the house. He told us not to let you back in.
Okay.
So he didn't accept any of that until after I was out there and did it on my own, got my own place, did my own thing. And then, then he kind of said, okay, you're serious about this, And, I guess he just wanted to, if he figured you're going to be that tough and you're going to, challenge me in my own house, I'm still the general. So it was tough love and all of that. But, when I was in college, I ran into a couple of musicians and we started writing music and playing in bands together. And then we got a call from a bass player friend of theirs who said, hey, I have an investor who's interested in an originals band, but he's in Canada. And I had one more year left. I was taking a double major and I had one more year left. And they're like, it was the summer and it was like, okay, we got this opportunity as a band. We were a band even while I was in school. And we went up and the rest was history. The name of the band was Chukon. We actually won Rock Wars, which was the Canadian Star Search. And then a producer with the CBC sent our winning tape to the people at Star Search. And we went in and we won that.
Wow. So you're on your way. Was that the big break, I guess, for you at that point?
Well, yeah, to get out of Virginia, and even though we've been playing in bands and playing all over in the Chitlin Circuit and doing clubs and stuff like that, but to get to another country, and because I studied classical voice and I also studied music and media, which was a music and recording arts type of program, and I was studying jazz guitar and classical voice, so I got a chance to, in my opera training, I had to learn to sing in all languages because my vocal teacher was she went to school with Kathleen Battle, so she was just not having it. She's like, not only will you sing these songs, you will know what it means because you will take the grammar of Italian, of French, of Latin, of German. So when you sing this phrase, you know exactly what you're saying to know when to accentuate. You'll know what words you're saying, so you just won't be singing it without knowledge. So to end up in Montreal, which was, French, and to show up there, and we were doing jazz fusion and some covers and stuff, but to get into that whole community of musicians who were open and honest, and, the French in general, if you're passionate about what you're doing, they don't care what language you're singing in, as long as you're giving it something. And, we were all like in a big jam thing together. And, I got the chance to work with Celine Dion when she was like 16, 17. And, all these French Canadian artists that I worked with Norman Bretouet and Rock Voisine, who was like the second coming of Elvis to the young French Canadian girls and to the girls in France. So he was like, the handsome crooner, from Canada. And so I got a chance to use all my skills from school. Same thing with Zucchero, because I sang in Italian. And he loved the American blues. So he took American blues and did what Johnny Holiday did in French with rock and roll, just put French lyrics on that American driving music. So that's the kick I get from, working with guys like that.
Wow. What an incredible transition from home to Montreal, traveling. And then how did you get to Minneapolis? Via Sheila E?
Well, I was actually demonstrating guitars for Godin Guitars, Montreal-based guitar maker, Robert Godin. Love them, still play the instruments. They're fantastic.
And so do I, thanks to you.
So they were the first to ever pay for a full page ad for me in Guitar Player magazine playing one of their guitars.
Wow.
While in Montreal, I went to a lot of concerts and ended up meeting Felicia Collins and Jan Pulsford, who were out playing with the Thompson Twins. And Felicia was like a protege of Nile Rodgers. And I would, on the weekends, I would get off. I would go from Montreal, take a train, Montreal to New York City, and go and sit in and sit in the jazz clubs and jam with people. And I met Cindy Blackman, who's now Cindy Blackman Santana, Tracy Wormworth, all these girls that play music and do it for a living. Got a chance to meet so many great people, Hiram Bullock and all those guys, going back and forth. And so Godin sent me down to a couple of NAMM shows, and this particular, I think it was my third or fourth NAMM. I said, hey, I got a friend who plays bass, and she'll play your basses, and we'll have fun, and we'll make that stuff look good. And Rhonda came with me, and I met Sheila at a NAMM show, and then we eventually took what we were doing there, and we took it over to Germany, to Mesa, and Sheila saw Rhonda and I do our thing and went, hey.
Yeah.
And, she, like I said before, she sent our demo stuff that we sent to her for a different project to Prince. And Rhonda went up and auditioned first, and I was a few weeks after, and we went on from there.
Wow. And after, I don't want to downplay the fact that you were with Prince. What an incredible experience that must have been, yeah?
But in between that, and I didn't fill in the gap, after meeting Felicia, then Felicia was doing all kinds of tours, because whenever Nile would produce somebody, Felicia would go out and do the tour because she knew the sound. They had similar styles. And she was playing with Cindi Lauper, and then she got the call to go to David Letterman. So Cindy was auditioning. I was still in Montreal. I was still married to a Canadian. So I went down and I auditioned, and I got the gig. So then I started playing with Cindy, and played with Cindy for a few years. And then Cindy said, hey, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to have a baby. And she just got married, blah, blah, blah. And that's when I met Sheila, and all of that happened. And, Cindy was like, I love Prince. He and I work together. Go do it. Have some fun, kid. She always calls me kid. And, it was that. I don't know if he had seen me with Cindy, but when I did mention her, and I found out years later they have a love and a respect for each other, which was great.
So you spent, 3 years with Prince, or is it a little bit more? Or?
No, but that was it. But off and on, like as far as living in Minneapolis, yeah, 2 years tops, yeah. And then he went in the studio, was doing 2 or 3 records, and then I got a call from Sheila, and she was doing the Magic Johnson thing, and I was working on my own original material. And he changed the band, and he decided he wanted to do his own thing. And being a secondary guitar player in his band is a rotational thing. Sometimes he'll need one, sometimes he won't. When we parted ways, but then when I started doing Donnie Marie, he would come in town.
Yeah,
he would show up at the little club dates that I would do and just sit in. I was playing somewhere, and he shows up. He's like, I said, look, just don't break my guitar, because I've seen him throw people's guitars. He's like, oh no, I won't do that, but I need your shades too. I want your shades, and you can. He would just show up, and we end up eventually, working together again, and we did the NAACP Awards. So, it was, we were in touch, and we were cool. I mean, and he would invite me, and so I would say between 96 and 2005 was when I did the NAACP thing with him, with that whole big night where he and Oprah got awards. It was a big night. It was 12-minute medley. I think it was the longest medley of nonstop music on network TV ever, or something like that. It was something crazy like that.
Sounds about right, for sure. So after the Donnie Marie show, that came somewhat close to after the Prince tenure. Is that right?
And he would be in contact with me while I was on the show. Well, I know you're on TV. He was watching.
Oh, he was.
He knew that I was there with you. You can come to Minneapolis, and I fly you right back. I'm like, yeah, I know you. You just get me in trouble. Be there
Mhm.
for it.
Right.
You know. So he was watching. He was checking it out. He was definitely checking it out.
When did you start working with Cindi Lauper?
I believe that was like 93, 94, something like that. Yeah, 93.
Oh, so that was before.
Before, yes.
I did
Yes.
not know that.
Yes, it was before Prince.
So
It was
you've worked.
whenever Felicia started with Letterman is when I started with Cindi. Because
Got it.
she left Cindy's band and I auditioned and got the gig. Yeah.
Tell me some of the other people that you've been lucky enough to be on the road with.
I was out with Natalie Cole for a while. She was absolutely just fantastic. I worked with a Canadian guitarist named Colin James,
Oh
who's
yeah.
like Stevie Ray Vaughan double. I mean, he was a kid from Canada and just wrote Stevie and said, "Hey, I'll come and tech you for free if you just teach me." And you know, that guy just plays the attack guitar that Stevie Ray played like for years and years and years. And I mean, I got a chance to work with Ziggy Marley. Went in the studio with him. Also went on the road with him, which was fantastic. I got a chance to meet who I consider my guitar mother, which is Odetta. I was out touring with a Montreal-based gospel choir, Jubilation Gospel Choir, and at one point I have a solo feature, and I'm doing "Oh Mary, Don't You Weep" with my guitar, and I'm scatting with the guitar doing that, and we're in Halifax doing a sound check, and we're in this big church, and when I'm scatting, my eyes are closed, and I open up my eyes, and there's this woman walking towards me with her arms out, and it turns out to be Odetta. Now, my mother bought me Odetta records when I was a
Oh
kid because she wanted me to see someone who looked like me
yeah.
playing guitar because
Yeah.
you know I kept
Oh.
listening to all these rock and roll crazy, you know, rock boys and James Brown and all these men, and she's like, well, you know, this woman does what you do, and I got to meet her and be her friend, and it was just amazing. I got a chance to work with Kate Pearson from the B-52s and play with the B-52s as well. I just actually talked to Kate. We're going to be doing something for the equal rights movement. We're doing a project in the next few weeks that's going to be out. It's going to be fantastic. Um, uh, so many people, you know, I've been lucky. I've been blessed. You know, I get a good recommendation, or I go in and I do audition. I mean, you know, nothing just comes. You got to work for what you get. So, I've been extremely blessed.
So all these rock stars that you've worked with, what do you think is the common thread of success? Do you think there is one with all these guys? Why are they who they are? What do you think are the attributes of a rock star? Since I mean, you've worked with so many people. Do you think there's a secret to that?
I mean, I think that if they're true to their source, I find the ones that last are true to their strengths and their weaknesses, and they know what they are. Um, After I did Donnie Marie, I did a quick summer kind of pilot season in 2001, right before the 9/11, with Wayne Brady. He had a half an hour show, and it was an improvisational show, and he had some great musical guests just come on, you know, and different. I mean, Luther Vandross came on and did comedy with him.
Wow.
You know,
I got to see
everyone that I've seen that works. I mean, I got a chance to play in a big blues festival in Europe, and I got to meet B.B. King, and you know, he sat down with me, let me play his guitar. At least I tried, because it was set up for a man with a big hand.
Right.
And he said, you know, they want me to come and talk at this college, and I didn't even finish high school, and what am I going to tell them? He's like, I have to say a few notes. I said, yeah, but it's what you say with those few notes. You know, everyone, I mean, I got a chance to meet John McLaughlin, Joe Pass, all these guys set me down and just, you know, gave me a lesson, whether they knew it or not. And they're in touch with their humanity. I think the guys and the girls, men and the women, the artists that last are in touch with all parts of their humanity. And they're able to convey it to people. And people are able to say, I second that emotion. They give people something that they can feel, hear, touch, sing, breathe, something in the way they said the words, something in the way they deliver it, the feeling, something in the way that fed the soul, of the person. None of them have been so above it all that they didn't think that they were, perfect all the time or not flawed. I mean, even Prince, he was hard on himself than he was hard on anybody. Everybody can say, oh, he was a taskmaster, or It's harder on himself than he was on anybody. The guy wouldn't sleep. The guy wouldn't eat. I had to come in and say, hey, you need to eat something. Hey, you need to drink some water. Hey, you need to sleep. And I almost treated him like I treated my brothers. And he was like, okay.
Right.
I had to get into big sister mode.
You weren't afraid of him. I mean,
he clowned me and joked me. But see, like I said, after being around my four brothers who was constant with the teasing, all the little tactics that men use on women kind of don't work.
We have tactics? Do we? No, we don't have tactics.
Yeah.
I don't know of which you speak.
All the little
Kathleen
things don't
Dyson.
work on me because, I grew up with that.
Right.
So I ended up being everybody's sister, everybody's big sister.
See?
So, that's fine. I like that working environment. It makes things easy and simple. We're just in the backyard plugging in guitars, playing. Yeah.
Let me take you to what the events that have been happening in Minneapolis and all over the world. I think it's important that we talk about this because you were instrumental in teaching me a few things.
I don't know.
Way before any. I mean, it's always been going on, but it's so prevalent right here, right now. You and I spent 2 years doing the Donnie Marie show, and we were hanging out day and night like brother and sister. And you would say, did you notice that? I'm like, what? Did you see the way or what he said? Did you hear what he said or whomever? And you would point out situations of racism that totally would go right over my head because it wasn't on my radar at all. And you were the first person to go, you need to be aware of these things. You did it so beautifully and subtly, but it was an awakening back in those days that I thank you for. That makes me more aware of things like that and the injustice. But is that how do we move forward here? This has got to be an incredibly horrible time.
Well, it is horrible. The horrible part is that it's continuing. And there's an educator, I think her name is Jane Elliott, who said and who did experiments at least 30, 40 years ago. Racism is taught. You don't grow up. It's not in your DNA. And there are a lot of people that will say that. But, racial bias is taught. Social bias is taught. I'm rich, he's poor, he'll always be under your foot.
Right.
You're better than him because we got a bigger house. Kids hear you say that stuff, it goes into their programming, their little computers.
Yeah.
What I loved about your family, and I could tell from the moment I met you, you're not even noticing the subtle forms of racism. You were not taught that. Your mom and your dad did not teach you that. And there are many people that I've met that are just like you. And I'm not suggesting that you're clueless or anything.
All right.
You were not taught that. So the seeds of that were the insidious seeds of the one-upmanship of that were not put into your spirit. You guys were more concerned with, I got to be a Peterson and be excellent in music and kill everybody else to stand. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, that
and
is
you
true.
being the baby, you became good at all the instruments because you were the little one, so you're going to overachieve everybody. You just play drum, bass, guitar, keyboards, blah, 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 everything.
I told you I don't know what the word moderation.
You watched everybody do it, and as the baby, you overexcel, and that was your focus. But there are families and there are people who exist who feel the totality of their existence is contingent upon them feeling like they can keep somebody underneath them. And that's classism. All the isms. All the isms are built pretty much on that same thing. So all of these things, regardless to whether people want to cop to it or not, with your actions and your mannerisms and the things you say, you are teaching your children these unconscious biases that they have.
Right.
And growing up in Virginia, being, looked upon, frowned upon, judged without a word being said, my father would tell us, and he would show us pictures of when he was in the army and when he was in Europe and all these people that he met and the beautiful things and how big the world really is. And he's like, don't let people judge you by the way you look. Let them judge you by the way you act. And he would never tell us, hate this guy because he's this, hate this guy because he's going to treat you like this, hate this guy. He's like, make sure that your house is in order and you're treating them the way you want to be treated. And once you do that, you've done your part.
Right.
Then protect yourself and keep yourself safe. So he didn't teach us hate at all. He just taught us because, we grew up a Black Catholic family in a Bible Belt state of Virginia, going to church every week with nuns in a predominantly white congregation, singing and practicing in Latin.
Still in Latin back in those days?
Yes, sir. Yes, we had the singing nuns with the guitars and everything.
Come on now. I did too.
Oh, yeah.
12 years Catholic school.
Oh, yeah. We had, but so we were the oddballs in our own family. Mass would last 45 minutes. We'd be home in an hour, and aunties would look at me. The great aunts, and that's not enough Jesus. What are y'all home? Y'all home?
That's a good quote. That's not enough Jesus.
That's not enough Jesus. We'd be home. Y'all still in church? Yay! We'd be home playing, and they were like in church for hours. So, racism, like I said. Some people feel like it's their heritage, it's their legacy, it's their, the daughters of the Confederacy felt like they had to glamorize and, make statues and monuments to their men who were out fighting the wars. And all of that glamour and glitz to cover up the grisly ugliness of war got put in the history books as the only truth. And it just completely ignored a race of people that were treated, for better sense of the word, a third human being, which, was even in our Constitution. So, we've got a part of the public, a part of the population that, legalized and legislated the inequality.
That is some caveman.
To make themselves not feel guilty. Well, let's write down that they're a third of a person so that when we treat them like that, hey, it's the law. Well, let's say they're created equal but separate. So we can separate them and then we can give them less. And it's the law. Let's free them and let's add some amendments to the Constitution. And let's see how that goes. And they're doing too good. Let's take some of them back because it's the law. And then you got Jim Crow and you got the take back. You got the give and then you got the take back. And they legislated everything. And there are a lot of people go, well, that's just the way it is. And, you're equal, but you're separate. So you got to be over there because it's the law.
Right.
And it's still, right now, the Legal Rights Act is still not enacted. And it's
That's just it's unfathomable.
and if the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were really the law of the land, then there shouldn't have to been any other laws written. There shouldn't have to been anything else written. But it was done by lawyers who gave themselves enough wiggle room to say separate but equal. 1/3 of this and that. Well, you kind of can't do that. Oh, we gave it to you, but now that you did it, they were thriving, separate but equal Black communities that created their own wealth, their own commerce, their own infrastructure, and they were burned to the ground.
Yes,
they were. These neighborhoods were bombed, burned to the ground. We hated that you did. It's almost like a jealous lover. It's like, okay, I'm gonna divorce you, but don't do better with somebody else when you leave me. I mean, and I feel like this country is now in the throes of yet another divorce, and they would rather burn the country down than to see her do better without them.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And the young kids are my parents, putting their bodies in harm's way.
Right.
They're standing in front of guns and police officers with, these fake bullets that they say won't put people's eyes out and won't harm you, but there's hundreds of people in the hospital, and you know what I mean? So it went from dogs and water blast to, tear gas and, steal the billy stick and,
3 miles from my house, I might add.
I mean, the police are not soldiers. I mean, I come from an Army family, I have cousins who are in the Marines. The military and the police are two different things. And the minute you militarize the police, the police are there to protect and serve.
Yeah.
The military are there to defend the country. They are soldiers. What they know how to do is point and shoot. That's two different things. They're not dealing with the public. They're dealing with the enemy. But the police, being militarized, are treating the public as if they're enemies. As if anybody that doesn't look like them are enemies. And they're not diverse enough to have police that actually look like the neighborhoods help to police them. So they're very simple fixes that can be done. But it will require equality. And we're back at that same place. We're back. Well, you had Obama. Well, Obama came in changed pretty much policy-wise before he could even finish his first dance with his wife at the inauguration ball. McConnell was like, we're going to stop him. Anything he wants to do, it's going to be finished. He's not going to get another term. He's not going to pass another bill. The guy brags about the 200 plus bills that are still sitting on his desk that he's sitting on to.
Yep.
So all the people that say, oh, he didn't do anything. Oh, he couldn't.
Right.
Well, when you come in like this and say, okay, can you pick up that glass of water and eat some food?
Right.
So,
how do we turn this? How can we? I don't know how to turn it around. How can we, as a human race, make an impact?
Well, we have to pick our leaders wisely. And not just with protocol. Mm-hmm. We have to pick a leader that's actually wants to serve the public, not somebody that wants to be deified.
I heard
there
you.
are a lot of people who come off with a good game, but they have no intentions of serving anybody but themselves and the people that pay for them to get there. And there are a lot of leaders worldwide that are in that little box.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys know that if democracy and votes and all these things, if they can't dismantle the system, which they're trying, they're done.
Yeah.
And leaders that actually care about people are going to be the ones, and we just have to pick them wisely. Look at the total picture instead of their bubble. See, a lot of people create bubbles for themselves to insulate themselves from the things that are unpleasant. But, if you got a gun wound, you can't keep putting a Band-Aid on it.
You're right.
You're going to bleed to death. Racism is our gun wound. it has been oozing and bleeding and oozing and bleeding, and we've been, cleaning around and, not taking the bullet out, but putting, and it's festering and festering and festering. At some point, we got to take the bullet out. We got to clean out the wound.
Right.
It's a messy, uncomfortable, ouch, and it's happening, and it keeps happening. And there's some people that would just rather lose an arm than take the bullet out of their arm. They'd just rather you cut the arm off than going through I got to dig that thing out. And, there are some people that, it's just like people who are against change. Change is going to happen.
Yeah.
A rock outside on the ground is not the same rock that it was yesterday.
Right.
God changes everything every minute.
Wouldn't it be something, Kat, if this terrible tragedy turned into an opportunity for us to be better to each other?
Well, it is. It is, by and large. It is. But the media doesn't make money showing that it's changing things for the better. They make money with the controversy. I would pay money to have a news channel that actually took the time to send their reporters out to find out the good and broadcast that.
That's easy. That's great. That's crazy talk.
Broadcast that for 24 hours and it would be on.
Yeah.
Let the ticker tape of the stuff that's, that's going on that we can't change. Let it roll. I don't want to hear you say it. I can read it.
Mm-hmm.
But show me visuals of people that are getting through this, of people that are coming out of this better, of people that are raising themselves and changing the way they think and opening themselves up to, I only saw the selective amnesia picture that I was given.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where racism wasn't all that bad and they were happy slaves.
Oh. You know what I appreciate though is that, I grew up playing black music. So did my entire family. I don't know if I've ever had the conversations I'm having now with my black brothers and sisters. I mean, when we'd be in a gig, it's like, all right, I'll take the first course, you take the second course. It wasn't about what's going on in our country. There was never a call for that.
You did have the conversation because you played the music. You played the music with the same feeling that it was given. So you were part of the conversation without even knowing it. That you gave the music that much respect. Understand that. Understand that.
You're going to make me cry right here in my podcast.
Bob James put up a post. Did you see that Bob James post?
Oh, did I ever? Drop me too.
Black lives matter to me. And there are people that, don't want to see things change. They need to feel validated knowing somebody is doing absolutely worse than them. And there's no way being black you can get out of that, no matter what you do. I mean, look at that gentleman in Central Park. Guy was from Princeton. Asked the woman to just put your leash on the dog so I can watch the birds.
Yeah.
She gets on the phone and says, I'm going to tell them an African-American man is threatening my life. Well, she's being sued.
Right.
I mean, that type of attitude is the same thing that got Emmett Till bludgeoned and beaten to death.
Yeah. We got to figure this out, sister.
No, well, the more you turn the light on.
Yes.
To the truth that's in the dark. That's what you do. That's what you do. You have to see. I'm going to say something now that has been unpopular in every conversation I've had. I say keep all those monuments up. Just change the plaque, the information plaque that's by those. Keep them all up. Don't tear them down because they're going to tear them down. They're going to put them in a museum and create another false narrative as to what those statues really mean. Keep them up. Just tell the whole truth. Besides every statue that's got to do with that Confederate period, here lies this guy. He did that for the war, but he was also part of slavery, and he also did this and this and this to this amount of people. Tell the whole truth. I don't mind.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Let them stay up. Just tell the whole truth. Don't glamorize it with a few little phrases.
Change the
To make the
narrative.
guy-
Yeah. Educate.
See, everybody wants to tear him down and not see him, and the young kids, oh, we just don't want to see him. I said, well, you're being lazy because you need to learn the whole story. And not having any reminders, you're allowing the people that are going to take those statues and put them in another museum somewhere and tell the story they want to tell and go, those people don't know what they're saying. These are the glory guys, and these are the glory days, and this is the glory this. And I'm like, to the victor go the spoils. To the victor also goes the writing of history. Keep them up. Just tell the truth.
I have never heard that idea, and that is
but
brilliant.
there are a lot of people that are like, you are crazy.
They don't like that.
I'm like,
Well, that's why we have opinions.
I want the pride and the shame. You feel pride about that? You feel like that was part of your pride? Well, this is the other side of that pride was another person's misery, and you should feel that shame too.
Wow.
Anybody who's come up in this country who has generational wealth has benefited in some way from 400 years of free slave labor. If your great-great-granddaddy left somebody some money, who left somebody some money, who left somebody some money, some of that money came from somebody that looked like me, who was underfoot, who worked for free.
Right. Sure. That's logical.
And downtrodden to the edge of their lives, pulled up, treated like animals. They'll go, oh, you're not a slave. You've never been a slave. And I'm like, slavery was legislated after it was abolished.
Right.
With Jim Crow laws, with redlining, with voter rights, with it's continuing. It's just more insidious. So please don't tell me that, because literally, yes, slavery is still enforced because the separate but equal kept it open for interpretation. So it was put in there. Just enough wiggle room.
Yeah.
If a drop of water drops on a rock 400 years, guess what? That rock is going to give.
Yeah.
I don't mean to get off the subject, but, you
No, I asked. And I think it's important that we show what communication is, too. People got to talk. People got to talk.
Absolutely. And I don't claim to have all the answers, but to me, and what my dad always stressed to us, even as kids, when you tell that little lie, he's like, telling half the truth is just lying anyway. It's just a lie. You don't tell the whole truth. You lied to somebody. Tell the whole truth. The whole truth will serve you better.
Right. Well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He also was not in politics.
And you get in trouble because somebody's gonna find out the whole truth, and you're still gonna be in trouble. When my brothers would do something, and then he didn't do that, I did that. And then somebody gonna tell. Here we are right now. Somebody's telling. If I say nothing to young people, search for the whole truth, not just what you've been told. Don't be satisfied to that. There are books that we had for Virginia history that they don't use anymore. They're under glass in a library in Richmond. And I remember them because they were proud of certain things. Like the real framework of the Ku Klux Klan was put together by, certain politicians who would put hoods on their heads because they didn't want to be recognized having these secret meetings in Spotsylvania County, Virginia.
Right. Oof.
Not down in Mississippi, not down in Alabama. It was the politicians and the lawyers that put the framework together.
Right.
If we start havoc, if we start fear, we can still keep these people subdued.
That's a whole nother podcast. It is.
We could have my good friend Jonathan Butler from South Africa.
Yeah.
Jonathan, who could tell you many things about that. And it's same idea. Dutch, same idea. Psychological warfare, fear.
Right.
Making examples of people doing violent things to people.
Fear is a an incredible motivator.
Subjugation,
in an
all
unfortunate
these
way.
things. When you
Yes.
feel like you are physically outnumbered, you have to use your mind to inflict control, but that's a whole nother thing.
It is.
But yeah, that's why I read. That's why I'm always looking. That's why I'm always searching. Somebody tells me something. If I can't find 6 sources that give that, then I'm wondering what's the rest of the story. But I've always been curious like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a storage that I just pared down to 2 to just get books.
Does it?
Just books.
Ah.
And now that I have my iPad, God, I have 2 iPads. It's just books I'm reading. Luckily, the iPad...
That'll save on some space for you.
Yeah, the iPads keep the page. Oh, yeah, you were at that page.
Well, I'm going to be respectful of your time. What are you up to for 2021? Because I know 2020 is probably, touring wise, a wash.
Yeah, it's looking like a wash, but there's always hope. And I'm hearing from my friends in England. They're doing these drive-in concerts where people are in their cars and the band plays and there's big screens and they got the little speaker and they're thinking of trying to do it like that. And outdoor festivals, perhaps,
Right.
there are a lot of things that are being, but, right now, the Zucchero tour, if you go to zucchero.it, the dates are being rebooked and rescheduled to start around April 2021. And until then, I'll do my best to stay busy and keep out of trouble and not enjoy my own cooking too much.
and keep the resistance bands going. Play some little bit of golf.
Yeah. Golf is a great way to get out, and you still social, but you're still far enough away, and you still get the sun on your face. And I'm not saying I'm playing better, but at least I'm trying to get out there and do it as often as I can. And if I get a chance to see friends while I'm out there, that's always a plus. So
right,
maybe once they get this whole airlines thing down, I'll make my way to Minnesota. We can go out to one of those 11 courses.
Your room awaits.
I'll try not to lose too many balls in the lake over there.
I haven't played all year. You're going to whoop my butt.
You haven't played all year?
I haven't played all year.
I don't believe you.
I'm just telling you, I haven't played all year.
It's beautiful in Minneapolis right now. Come on.
It's 90 degrees in Minneapolis, and I've been sitting down here in my studio making music, and we need to make some music together. By the way, I got to tell everybody, Auntie Kat has been looking out for my kid, Taylor.
Hey, don't tell everybody. Don't tell
No, you're so sweet. I mean, the first thing that Kat said when Taylor, my daughter, moved out there is, now you tell her to call me. She reached out, and I cannot thank you enough for always being willing to take care of my little kid.
Oh, my God. Well, she's not a little kid. That's a very talented and amazing artist. Listeners, don't let Papa just make her sound like she's like 2 years old.
Well, she is to me.
Grown woman and singing her tail off. That's right. I said it. I said it. Writing, producing, singing, doing everything just like her daddy did. Come on. He's a Peterson.
She is. Kat, thank you so much. I love you. And
thank you.
I appreciate you just sharing an hour with us. And I can't wait to see you and play music with you again as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Me too.
All right. Hey, everybody.
Give my best to everyone.
Okay, absolutely. That's it for episode 17 of Music on the Run. That was Kat Dyson. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Music on the Run was hosted by yours truly, St. Paul Peterson. Edited and produced by my buddy Davide Raso. Video editing by Ivan Sebastianov. And a very special thanks to the people who financially support this podcast. And remember, wear the damn mask.